Institutes of the Christian Religion, continued, Book 1, Chapter 17, looking at sections 1 and 2 in this chapter, use to be made of the doctrine of providence. Calvin begins with giving some two specifically categories to essentially hem in our understanding of God's providence. The first one he gives is that the providence of God is considered with reference to both everything in the past and everything in the future. That is, it is an all inclusive providence, overruling sovereignty of God. There is not a dispensation or an arena left out. It covers all of time past and time future. The second one he gives is how God executes uh, these dictates of his will. It is with means, without means, and against means. That is, God can utilize and does utilize naturally occurring and predictable events, the will of his creatures. He can choose to rain fire down or cause frogs to spontaneously generate in Egypt without means. And he can do it against means, such as in the reconstruction of Jerusalem post exile, Ezra Nehemiah. Sanballat and Tobiah would like to see it stopped, but even against the will and agency of men, the works of God progress on. He makes clear that Scripture indicates God is not capricious or careless in how he executes this, like a kid throwing up and down a ball carelessly, or like we might sort of half-heartedly play a board game. But there is a deep level of investment on the part of God to make his works manifest and his glory known to the ends of the earth. And when the curtain is pulled back, we see this more clearly. John chapter 9 gives the instance where Jesus' disciples are looking at a man born blind and they're saying, okay, who sinned, him or his parents? And Jesus responds by saying, neither has this man sinned nor his parents, but that the works of God should be made manifest in him. John chapter 9, verse 3. When the curtain is pulled back, what do we see? That an otherwise wild, crazy, tumultuous world is resting under the hand of a sovereign God who has his own agenda to make his works manifest, to make his glory known, to spread the name of Christ and the gospel to the ends of the earth, according to his will, as we pray in the Lord's Prayer, not according to my will or the dictates of chance or fortune or competing wills and agendas. God is in control. And so, where do we get this doctrine? Calvin indicates, well, hey, look, men weren't sitting around, Christian theologians, pastors, teachers, and saying to themselves, how is God in control of everything? Without the study of the Bible, this doctrine has no foundation or no bearing whatsoever. We did not come up with it as a figment of the imagination, but it's distinctly declared by the Spirit and repeated in numerous forms of different expression within the Scripture. It's God's control is everywhere. God's will is everywhere. God manifesting his works for his own glory is in Scripture everywhere. Without study of the Bible, I would default to a Pelagian or Arminian position, as would anybody, I think, if they're honest. But we must say with Paul in Romans 11, oh, the depths of the riches of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments and his ways past finding out. For who has known the mind of the Lord, or who has been his counselor? Romans 11:33 and 34. We confess with Moses, Deuteronomy 29. Secret things belong unto the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong unto us and to our children. Part of the difficulty in accepting the doctrine of providence, also therein lies the benefit of its use. I want answers that the Bible hasn't provided, even as it's hammered down on the nature of God and the truth of his sovereign rule over creation. It's very clear in Scripture. The thing that's not clear is all the questions I want answered, all the intricacies and the ins and outs of how my will and his will and their will and the establishment of nations and a diversity of questions. You could fill a book with all the questions that God's sovereignty raises. And yet we must rest content in that our Father loves us, He cares for us, He's shown us great grace and mercy in and through Christ, and we rest content with His will being largely concealed. Generally, we're told things about his desire or hope or plans of salvation or whatever else. But in many ways, the first use of providence is to humble us under the mighty hand of God and to have us rest in our faith that we can trust this one who has overseen the past as he will oversee the future for his own glory, for our good. Thanks for listening. Hope it was a benefit.